Let me tell you something, man. Age ain't nothing but a number. I don't care if you're 25, 45, or 75, if you're still breathing. God ain't done with you yet. See, people love to put expiration dates on other folks' dreams. They'll look at you and say, you're too old to start that business. You're too old to fall in love. You're too old to change your life. But let me tell you, the only person who can say your time is up is God himself. I didn't get my big break till I was 38 years old. I was broke, living in my car, eating whatever I could afford. But I had a dream, and that dream didn't check my birth certificate before it showed up. Let me tell you something right off the top. Your dream doesn't retire, man. You might clock out of your job one day, but that purpose God planted inside you. It doesn't punch no time card. It don't age. It don't wrinkle. It don't quit. See, the world got this crazy idea that dreams got deadlines. They say, you're too old to start over. You missed your chance. You should have done it years ago. But let me tell you what I learned from life. Your dream don't move on without you. It just waits patiently until you're ready to pick it up again. You might have spent 20, 30, 40 years taking care of everybody else, raising kids, paying bills, doing what you had to do. And that's honorable, man. That's love. But don't confuse responsibility with retirement. Just because you had to press pause on your own dream doesn't mean it disappeared. See, purpose, that thing God stitched into your soul, it's eternal. It don't expire like milk in the fridge. It's more like a seed. You can bury it for a long time, but one day it's going to sprout. And when it does, all that experience you gained, all that pain you survived, that's the soil that helps it grow. You know, people look at me today and they see the suits, the TV shows, the fame, but they don't see the journey. They don't see that I was 38 years old, living in my car, broke as could be, eating crackers and bologna sandwiches, trying to hold on to a dream everybody else said was dead. Now, if I had believed them, if I had said, you're right, maybe I missed my time, I wouldn't be standing here. But I believed something different. I believed that if God kept waking me up, then he still had something for me to do. And I know some of y'all feel the same way. You might be sitting there right now thinking, I'm too old to start a business. I can't go back to school now. I can't start over. Well, who told you that? Because it sure wasn't God. God don't check birth certificates before he gives blessings. Look at Colonel Sanders. Man was 65 years old when he fried his first batch of chicken that made him famous. Vera Wang didn't design her first dress till she was 40. Ray Kroc didn't open McDonald's until he was 52. Age don't stop purpose. Doubt does. Here's what happens when you're young. You got fire, but not much wisdom. When you're older, you got wisdom, but sometimes you think the fire's gone. But that's the trick. See, you still got both. You just got to mix them again. You got the wisdom now to do what your younger self couldn't handle. Your dream didn't die. It just matured with you. Maybe you wanted to write a book. Maybe you wanted to open that bakery. Maybe you wanted to travel, start a YouTube channel, mentor young people. Whatever it is, don't bury it under fear. You've been through too much to let fear run your life now. At this stage, you ain't got time to be scared. You've already survived heartbreak, bills, disappointment, layoff, sickness. You're stronger than you think. Let that strength fuel your dream this time. Because what you're doing now ain't about chasing success. It's about honoring your gift. I met this man once at a meet and greet, 70 years old. He said, Steve, I always want to be a singer, but life got in the way. I said, so sing now. He said, you think it's too late? I said, brother, if you still got a voice, then sing till your lungs give out. 3 months later, that man emailed me a video, him singing gospel songs at his local church. He said, I ain't famous, Steve, but I've never felt this alive. That right there, that's purpose. It ain't about applause, it's about alignment, that feeling that says, I'm finally doing what I was made to do. And I promise you, when you walk in purpose, peace follows you like a shadow. Now, I know some of y'all thinking, Steve, I don't know where to start. That's okay. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step. Write the first page. Record the first stroke. Record the first video. Sign up for that class. Start small, but start now, because you don't want to leave this world with your dreams still locked up inside you. That's the biggest tragedy of all, potential that never got used. And here's the truth. Every time you say, I'm too old, you're telling your gift that it's not welcome anymore. Don't do that. Don't silence what God gave you. There's a verse I love that says, your gifts will make room for you. It don't say, your youth will make room for you. It says, your gifts, which means that the same gift you had at 20 still works at 60. It's just waiting on you to use it again. See, dreams don't retire, people do. But you can choose to live different. You can choose to wake up and say, I might be 65, but I'm starting something new today. And that's when life gets exciting again. That's when your energy comes back, your confidence grows, your smile returns, because you're finally living with purpose, not just passing time. Let me tell you what's worse than being too old to start being too scared to try. Because fear is what makes people grow old before their time. Faith is what keeps you young. Every day you take one step toward that thing you've always wanted, and you add life to your years. And don't worry about people laughing or judging you. They laughed at Noah too until it started raining. So let them laugh. You just keep building your arc. If you're listening to this right now and you think your dream's over, I want you to go look in the mirror tonight and tell yourself this: I'm still here. I'm still breathing. And as long as I've got breath, I've still got purpose. Your dream is not gone. It's not dead. It's just waiting on you. So wake it up, dust it off, and walk toward it, even if it's one step at a time. Because your dream doesn't retire. It's sitting in the corner of your heart, waiting for you to say, let's finish what we started. Now listen, I need you to really hear me on this one. You might not realize it, but experience is your superpower. See, folks spend their whole lives trying to get what you already got: wisdom, perspective, understanding, patience. But the world got it twisted. It celebrates youth like it's the only thing that matters. Fast cars, fast money, fast fame. But you can't buy experience at no store. You can't Google it, and you sure can't fake it. You earned yours the hard way. You got your lessons through pain, tears, heartbreak, bad decisions, and a whole lot of faith. That's power, man. That's gold. That's the kind of stuff you can't teach in a classroom. See, young folks, they got energy, but you got strategy. They got passion, but you got patience. They rush into storms. You learned how to navigate through them. Experience don't make you old. It makes you effective. It gives you that been there, done that, learn from it type of strength, that quiet confidence that don't need to shout. And you know what's crazy? You didn't even know you were building that power while you were struggling. Every job you hated, every person who walked away, every closed door, that was life training you for the season you're in right now. Let me tell you something from my own life. Back before the fame, before the suits and the talk shows, I had every odd job you can think of. I'd done been a mailman, a carpet cleaner, a boxer. I even sold insurance one time. Man, I'd done hustled everything but Girl Scout, cook, yeah. But I'll tell you what, every one of those jobs taught me something. I learned how to talk to people, how to handle rejection, how to stay grateful when I didn't have much. And I didn't know it then, but God was using every one of those experiences to prepare me for the life I'm living right now. See, God don't waste experience. He recycles it. That pain you went through, that season you survived, that's part of your power. You can use that to teach, to build, to lead, to inspire. You might say, Steve, I ain't got no big degree. I ain't got no fancy title. But let me tell you what you do got. You got lessons. And lessons last longer than any diploma ever will. You know what's valuable in this world today? Real stories. People who've been through something and came out the other side. See, you don't motivate nobody by being perfect. You motivate him by being real. By saying, yeah, I fell down too, but I got back up. That's what people need to hear today. And at your age, you've got decades of that truth stored up inside you. You're walking around with a whole library of wisdom. You just ain't opened the books yet. Now, let me tell you how powerful experience really is. When I first started doing Family Feud, people said, Steve, you can't host a game show. You're a comedian. And I said, watch me. See, I didn't go in there trying to be a game show host. I went in there with my experience, being on stage, making people laugh, connecting with real folks. That's what made the show blow up, because experience gives you authenticity. It makes people trust you. It makes your presence feel real. You can't fake that kind of confidence. You can't copy that kind of wisdom. That from living life, not reading about it. So let me say this clear: whatever you've been through, the good, the bad, the ugly, don't hide it. Use it. If you've been through a divorce, you can teach somebody how to heal. If you've lost money, you can teach somebody how to rebuild. If you've battled sickness, you can teach somebody how to fight. If you've raised a family, you can teach somebody how to love through chaos. That's what experience is for. Not just to survive it, but to share it. And don't you dare say, ain't nobody want to hear my story. That's a lie the enemy tells to keep your wisdom silent. Somebody needs your story. Somebody's waiting on the lessons you already lived. Somebody's praying for the same answers you've already found. You see, young folks today got a lot of information, but not enough transformation. They scroll through life looking for shortcuts. But you already know there ain't no shortcuts worth taking. You can teach that. You can mentor. You can build. You can speak. You can write. And every time you share your experience, you're lighting somebody else's path. That's what legacy looks like. Not fame, not fortune, impact. Let me tell you something powerful. Wisdom don't shout. It whispers. And the older you get, the more clearly you hear that whisper. It says, you didn't go through all that for nothing. It says, you made it through so you could show somebody else the way. That's your assignment now, not to chase youth, but to use your years. Use them to pour into others, to live boldly, to move with purpose. Because experience ain't what slows you down, it's what gives your steps direction. So stop acting like you're behind. You ain't behind, you're refined. You've been through the fire and came out shining. You've been tested, corrected, rejected, and still standing. You're not expired. You're elevated. And if the world don't recognize it yet, make 'em. Step up and show 'em that age ain't weakness. It's wisdom wrapped in grace. So from this day forward, I want you to walk like you know what you carry. When you talk with conviction. When you show up with authority. Because experience is your superpower. And when you own it, you become unstoppable. You've already done the hard part, surviving. Now comes the good part, shining. Now lean in and listen to me, because I'm about to tell you something that might just flip your whole mindset. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. You hear me? I don't care if you're 60, 70, or even 80 years old, as long as you're still waking up in the morning, as long as you still got breath in your body. God ain't finished with you yet. See, I've learned something in this life. You can't stop time, but you can change direction. You can't rewind your age, but you can redefine your future. People act like the moment they hit retirement, their story's over, like life done rolled the credits. Your life ain't over. It's just switching chapters. Let me paint this picture for you. You've been driving the same route for decades, same job, same routine, same expectations. Then one day life says, all right, time to take a new road. And most people panic because that road looks unfamiliar. It don't have GPS directions. It don't look comfortable. But that's where the miracles happen, on the roads that scare you. You see, reinvention don't start with a new opportunity. It starts with a new mindset. If you want something different, you got to think different. If you want to live fresh, you got to feel fresh. You can't step into a new season wearing the same old beliefs. Now, I know some of y'all thinking, Steve, it's too late for me to start over. Let me stop you right there. Who told you that? Because it sure wasn't God. That's fear talking. That's regret whispering. That's comfort trying to keep you stuck. Let me tell you something. Comfort is a dream killer. Comfort keeps you sitting on the couch saying, I'm too old to start again. But purpose keeps knocking on your heart saying, hey, there's still more in you. And when you answer that call, that's when life gets exciting again. Look, I didn't get on TV until my 40s. I didn't have my own show until my 50s. Most people would have said, Steve, that's too late. But you can't measure your journey by somebody else's timeline. You on God's time, baby. When it's your season, age don't matter. When it's your time, nobody can close that door. So stop counting the years behind you and start focusing on the purpose still ahead of you. Because here's the truth, you might be older, but you're also bolder. You might have less energy, but you've got more clarity. And that combination, that's power. You ever notice how a tree looks old and rugged on the outside, but deep down it's still growing new leaves every year? That's you. You may have scars, wrinkles, or gray hair, but your spirit can still bloom. You can still learn new things, chase new dreams, build new habits, meet new people. Don't let the calendar trick you into thinking you can't grow no more. Growth ain't about age. It's about attitude. Let me tell you about a woman I met once. Her name was Mrs. Daniels. She was 67 years old. She told me, Steve, my husband passed away, my kid's grown, and I feel like I ain't got nothing left. I said, Mrs. Daniels, what's something you always wanted to do? She said, I always wanted to learn how to paint. I said, then go buy a brush, girl. 2 years later, she sent me a picture. Her painting's hanging in a local gallery. She said, I thought I was too old to start again, but now I wake up excited every morning. You know what that is? That's reinvention. That's revival. That's faith in motion. See, people think reinventing yourself means becoming somebody else. Nah, man, reinvention means becoming who you were always meant to be. It's like peeling back all the layers of what life made you. The jobs, the expectations, the disappointments, and rediscovering you, the young dreamer you used to be. They're still in there. They just got buried under years of responsibility. Reinvention is about digging that dreamer out again and saying, all right, it's your turn now. And let me give you a little advice. Don't wait for permission to change. You don't need validation from nobody. If you want to start over, start over. If you want to change careers, do it. If you want to go to school, sign up. If you want to move to a new city, pack your bags. Stop asking, what will people think? Let me tell you, people gonna think something no matter what you do. So you might as well do what makes you happy. See, here's the blessing about starting over at this stage of life. You ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. You ain't chasing approval. You're just chasing peace. That's real freedom. When you stop trying to fit into boxes that never fit you in the first place. Because at some point, you got to stop living life by default and start living it by design. That's what reinvention is. Designing your next chapter with intention, with faith, and with gratitude. Now, let me get real with you for a second. Reinvention ain't easy. It's going to scare you sometime. You're going to doubt yourself. People might not understand your choices. But remember this, every major breakthrough in life starts with discomfort. If it don't scare you a little, it probably ain't worth doing. You can't step into a new blessing while you're still holding on to your old identity. So let go. Release who you used to be. And make space for who you're becoming. And when that doubt creeps in, when your mind says, it's too late, I want you to look back at your life and remember how many times you already started over and still made it. You've been reinventing yourself your whole life. From student to parent, from worker to leader, from dreamer to doer. This ain't new. It's just another round. So don't fear the process. Embrace it. Because reinvention is the proof that you're still alive, still growing, still becoming. Powerful pause. So let me say it like this. You are not done. You are not washed up. You are not out of time. You are simply being called to evolve. And when you step into that calling, when you decide to reinvent yourself, you'll realize something powerful is never too late. It was just time. Now, let me talk to you straight from the heart, because this right here, this is the part that separates the dreamers from the doers. If you want to live the rest of your life with peace, purpose, and power, you got to learn how to put faith over fear. See, fear is sneaky. It don't always show up like some big monster. Sometimes it whispers, what if I fail? What if they laugh? What if I'm too old? But let me tell you something, fear and faith can't live in the same house. Only one can take up space in your heart. And if you're going to begin again at 50, 60, 70, or beyond, you better start feeding your faith more than your fear. You see, fear is loud, but faith is louder when you let it speak. Fear says, you've already missed your moment. Faith says, God's timing is perfect. Fear says, you don't have what it takes. Faith says, you got everything you need already inside you. Fear looks at your past. Faith looks toward your future. And when you start walking in faith, you stop living from memory and start living from vision. Now, I ain't talking about blind faith. I'm talking about bold faith. That kind of faith that makes you step out even when you can't see the whole staircase. The kind that makes you start even when the money ain't there, even when the people don't believe, even when you're scared to death. But you do it anyway. Because listen, courage ain't the absence of fear. It's doing it in spite of fear. If you wait for the fear to disappear, you're going to wait your whole life. You ever heard that story about Peter walking on water? See, Jesus told him, step out the boat. And Peter said, but Lord, there's a storm out there. And Jesus said, that's exactly why you need to step out, because I'm already in the storm. That's what faith looks like. You don't need faith when everything's calm. You need it when life's shaking, when people doubt you, when you don't know how it's going to work out. That's where God does his best work, in the deep water. So if you're standing on the edge right now, wondering if you should take that step, I'm here to tell you, step anyway. Because if you don't, you'll never know what blessings were waiting for you on the other side of fear. When I was living in my car, broke and hopeless, I had two choices: believe my fear or believe my faith. My fear said, you done, Steve, you failed. Go home. But my faith said, hold on. God didn't bring you this far to leave you here. And let me tell you, every good thing that ever happened in my life, every show, every opportunity, every blessing, it came after a moment when I chose faith over fear. You got to believe before you see, not the other way around. Now, some of y'all think faith is just about praying and waiting. Nah, faith don't mean sit still. Faith means move anyway. Faith means build while you believe. You got to work that thing like it's already yours. You got to speak it like it's already done. You got to walk like you already got the job, already healed, already blessed, already free. That's how you tell fear, you don't run me no more. See, fear loves to remind you of your failures. It'll whisper, remember that time it didn't work out. Remember that mistake you made. But faith says, yeah, I remember. And I'm still standing. Every failure you survived is proof that you can begin again. Failure ain't fatal. Quitting is. You might have fallen, but you didn't stay down. That's what faith looks like, getting back up when it don't make sense to. Now, let me tell you something deep. God never asked you to be fearless. He just asked you to be faithful. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just got to have enough faith to take the next step. Stop waiting for the whole plan. Sometimes God don't show you step 2 until you take step 1. That's what faith does. It keeps you moving when logic says stop. When you choose faith over fear, something amazing happens. Life starts to open up again. Doors you thought were locked suddenly swing open. People you never met start showing up to help you. Opportunities start aligning like puzzle pieces. That ain't luck. That's divine alignment. Because faith activates blessings that fear would have never let you see. Let me tell you this straight. If you want to live a second act, a powerful, purposeful, meaningful life after 60, you can't let fear drive no more. Put it in the back seat. Thank it for trying to protect you, but tell it, you ain't behind the wheel no more. Your faith got the keys now. You don't need to know how it's going to work. You just need to know who's working it out. And I promise you, God's plans for you didn't expire just because you got older. They're still waiting for your faith to say, yes. Now, faith don't always make things easy, but it always makes them possible. You might stumble across, you might question it all. But if you keep choosing faith, one step, one prayer, one decision at a time, you'll look up one day and realize, I made it through what I thought would break me. That's the power to begin again. So don't let fear fool you into thinking it's too late. Don't let doubt convince you that you missed your shot. Because faith says, as long as you're still breathing, your story ain't over. As powerful closing moment, you want to know what real courage looks like. It's waking up every morning after life knocked you down and saying, I'm still here and I still believe. That's faith. That's power. That's what makes miracles happen. Not because of your age, because of your belief. Now, we done talked about dreams, experience, reinvention, and faith. But this right here, this is the part that matters most. Because when it's all said and done, it ain't about what you had, it's about what you left behind. Let me ask you a question. When you leave this earth, what story will your life tell? See, you don't got to be famous to leave a legacy. You just got to be faithful. You don't need 1 million followers. You just need to make a difference in one person's life. Because real legacy ain't about possessions. It's about impact. People always talk about, what do you want to be remembered for? Let me tell you, I don't want to just be remembered for making folks laugh. I want people to say, that man made me believe again. Because legacy ain't built in your bank account. It's built in people's hearts. The truth is, every day you wake up, you're writing another page of your story. And one day somebody's going to read that story, your children, your grandchildren, your community, and they're going to say one of two things: they gave up or they kept going. So make sure your story says they kept going. You see, the older you get, the more you realize life ain't about how long you live. It's about how deeply you live. You don't measure life by years, you measure it by influence. And influence comes from how you treat people. Somebody out there is watching how you handle your storms. They're learning how to be strong just by seeing you not quit. That's legacy. Legacy ain't about perfection. It's when your life says, I fell down, but I got up. I lost some things, but I never lost faith. I got older, but I never stopped growing. That's what people remember. Not the cars, not the house, not the titles, but the testimony. Now, let me tell you what I know. You are not here by accident. You made it to this season of life for a reason. Because God's still got somebody who needs your story. Somebody needs your encouragement. Somebody needs your example. See, legacy ain't just about leaving money. It's about leaving meaning. Maybe your grandkids won't remember the things you bought but they'll remember how you made feel. They'll remember the love, the laughter, the lessons. They'll remember how you prayed when things were hard, how you kept believing when it didn't make sense. That's the kind of inheritance money can't buy. You know, I think about my mama all the time. She didn't have much, no big job, no fame, no spotlight. But that woman had faith. She prayed over me when I didn't even believe in myself. And now, every time I walk out on a stage, I feel her presence right there. That's legacy. Your legacy ain't always loud. Sometimes it whispers through generations. Sometimes it shows up in a grandchild's confidence, in a student's success, in a life you touched and didn't even know it. That's why you can't give up now. You got people coming behind you. They need to see that it's possible to grow old with purpose, to walk in wisdom, to finish strong. Now let's get real for a second. You can't leave a legacy if you're living in bitterness. You can't pass down peace if your heart's still heavy with regret. So let it go. Forgive yourself. Forgive the people who hurt you. Don't let old pain steal your last chapters. See, God can't fill a closed hand. So if you're holding on to resentment, you're blocking your own blessings. Let go of what broke you and hold on to what built you. Because what you choose to carry into your final seasons, that becomes your legacy too. Legacy also means pouring into others. At this stage in life, it ain't just about doing. It's about teaching. You've seen enough storms to tell folks where the shelter is. You've been through enough valleys to show others where the light comes from. So pour out what you know. Mentor somebody, speak life into the next generation. Show them how to walk with dignity, how to love with integrity, how to live with faith when the world goes crazy. Because legacy ain't about living forever. It's about creating something that does. You know, it's wild, going to leave something behind. Some folks leave confusion. Some folks leave chaos. But you can choose to leave clarity. You can leave wisdom. You can leave courage. You can leave love. You can leave an example that says, no matter what came my way, I finished well. That's the legacy that lives beyond your name. Let me tell you what I want for you. I want you to wake up every morning knowing your life still matters. I want you to walk in rooms like you belong there. Because you do. I want you to speak your story like it's valuable. Because it is. And I want you to leave this world empty, not empty in spirit, but empty because you poured everything God put in you back out. Don't die with your wisdom still inside you. Don't take your lessons to the grave. Pour them out while you can, because that's how you make your life echo after you're gone. And when that day comes, when it's time to take your final bow, I want you to leave with peace in your heart, knowing you used your gift. You fought your fight, you finished your race. And when people talk about you, they're going to say, they didn't let fear stop them. They kept believing. They made everybody around better. That's legacy. That's how you live so your life speaks long after you're gone. So next time somebody asks your age, tell them proudly, yeah, I'm 60, I'm 70, I'm 80, and I'm just getting started. Because as long as God wakes you up in the morning, as long as you got breath in your body, you got a purpose. And age ain't no barrier to that. Now go on out there and show the world that your best days ain't behind you. They're standing right in front of you.